Distributed logical routers are a bit of an oddity because they're distributed. They exist on all these different ESXi hosts. And unfortunately, especially when troubleshooting, sometimes hosts differ in their understanding of exactly how a DLR is supposed to be configured. To isolate problem areas and perform good troubleshooting, we need to be able to get the host's perspective on how it's managing a distributed logical router. Fortunately, we have a command line tool available on ESXi called net-VDR. And in this nugget, we're going to look at exactly how we log on and leverage that tool to view distributed logical router information directly from our ESXi host. The fact is, the DLR really is distributed across hosts and clusters. And so, for example, it's possible that the DLR that's distributed onto both ESXi 01 and ESXi 02 may be different in these different locations. They may not have replicated completely or have different understandings as to how to function as a router. So sometimes we really need to get into the mind of a specific ESXi host and ask it, how do you see your DLR router? And so to do that, we can open up the CLI of an ESXi host and run some commands called net-VDR commands. Let me show you. We'll open up PuTTY and connect directly to ESXi 01A. Let me maximize the window. PuTTY has already logged us on with the root credentials. And after we've installed the NSX components, we get access to this great command net-VDR, which when you type it by itself will dump out the syntax of how to use this command, which is an interactive command that allows us to not only view what's going on, but even add and remove elements and modify the properties of our distributed logical router directly from ESXi. But with that said, there's not a lot of documentation on it, and primarily I recommend using it as a way to display the distributed information on a host. The list of core commands of things that we might want to see, like instances, routes, connections, logical interfaces, neighbors, stats, are all listed out here, and there's shorthand capital letter switches that can be used as a replacement for the double dash prefix that is used. So as an example, if I wanted to list all the DLR instances that have been deployed and what are their names, I can type in net-VDR --instance minus lowercase l for list and press enter. And we can see, aha, there's one distributed logical router on this device called Edge 3. Here's its virtual distributed router identifier. There are 3 interfaces and 3 routes. To get the same equivalent command, I could type in net-VDR minus capital I, and we'll get the equivalent information. Minus capital I minus lowercase l. And there we go, the same thing. Hey look, here's my distributed logical router. Let's type in net-VDR minus capital L for logical interfaces minus lowercase l to list. And it tells us, wait, no, I can't just give you all the interfaces of every object. Identify the VDR instance name. So all we have to do in this case is type in edge-3, that's the VDR name, and press enter, and it will display this information. So fortunately, we don't have to use the ID. We can actually just use the logical name assigned to the distributed router, and we can get now the list of interfaces, and we can see which VXLAN they're plugged into, as well as their IP address. So this is a great way to validate that the right IPs have been assigned to the correct interfaces that are associated with different logical switches. If I want to check on the routing status of this device, we can type in net-VDR minus capital R minus L. Let's do edge-3. And now I'm able to see the routing table specifically from ESXi 01A's perspective and ensure that it's correct. If we've run into some problems after doing some vMotions, it could be some issues related to our ARP table. So let's do net-VDR minus NBR space minus L edge-3. And there's our IP to MAC, our ARP resolution. All right, my friend, that's the running start we wanted to get on using net-VDR, the command line tool available on ESXi once we've installed NSX components that allows us to view the information of our distributed logical routers and switches directly from the host's CLI. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.